Hey there, and good morning, academics and scholars. I want to congratulate you. You have made it. We are at the final learning module of the semester, and so I get to say, take a deep breath and know that you have gotten to the very end. And so you want to really make sure that you're using each and every day, carving out those times throughout the day to make sure that you finish strong, because with just a few remaining assignments, you want to make sure that you are giving it everything you've got. So you want to keep a good eye on those grades. You want to be checking in with your email, your TSC email, and Canvas messages every single day. Make sure you're reading everything. There's a good chance I will throw out an extra credit assignment. If you recall, those extra credit assignments are usually embedded somewhere in my communication, so make sure that you're reading everything. I also want to remind you that there's just a limited amount of time remaining in the semester. That means that office hours will be coming to an end soon. So if you need to meet with me, the time is running short. All right, so let's talk about the module that opened this morning. It is your final exam preparation module. And so let's talk about what's in there, and let's talk about what you need in order to be successful. So of course, you're going to need to apply your self-leadership skills. Some of you have been I've seen you leveling up and applying this, and some of you are really sort of stuck in this mindset that it is the summer. Maybe you're distracted, maybe you're overwhelmed. There's a lot of different reasons for this, but I'm seeing many of you sort of lean into sort of a non-compliant sort of throw your hands up in the air, fixed mindset sort of perspective. And you cannot be successful in something challenging if you're already being self-defeatist. Right? I want you guys to remember that you are capable. Of course you are. It's about the choices that you make in order to reach your goals. So check in with yourself every single day. Make sure that the stories you're telling yourself are true. A lot of times we just make excuses because it's easier than having to do the hard work. So make sure that you're really thinking hard, you're being self-reflective, and you are doing the hard work of being the leader who self-actualizes, right? That you're really trying to get to that top place of potential within yourself. So get disciplined. Again, really click into that growth mindset, and then, use that time wisely, because you need to start thinking about it now and get started. So the task for this week that you will see is first, you have an article and annotation. You have an article, which I want you to use not only as an extra assignment, an extra grade in there, but also I want you to work on annotations of information. So you're going to be looking at that nonfiction text. You're going to be reading it. You're going to be understanding it, and you will be annotating it. We've done this once earlier in the semester. So you download the document, you read it over, and you guys mark it up. You can do this on paper with highlighters, Post-its, whatever, or you can do this digitally by marking up the document and then sending it to me. Either way will work. This is good preparation because, as you're going to find out momentarily, you will be using this skill on your final exam. Next, you need to give me full course notes. So you're going to go through each of the learning modules for each of the weeks, beginning at week 2 all the way up until last week, which was week 9. And you're going to make sure that you have handwritten beautiful weekly notes that cover all of the concepts that were covered in this course. This is an assignment that I'm requiring, but also if you think about it, it's actually doing you a great service, because you can use tangible notes on your exam. And so what I want you to do is I want you to make handwritten notes. Why handwritten? Well, we're in a leadership course, we're in a social science course. We're using science to tell us how to lead ourselves towards success. Well, we know for a fact that when we write things by hand, we're filtering it through ourselves and our own thoughts, and we're going to remember it much better and be able to comprehend it much better than if we simply type it out or if we have AI do it for us. So we're going to make sure that you have full course notes. Again, if you want full credit and you want to use those notes, then you're going to need to take your time throughout the week to make sure you get them done and get them done well. And then you will take pictures or you will scan them in and you will upload them for your grade, and also to be prepared when the test comes. All right, your final exam, let's talk about it. Your final exam in this course is 20% of your overall course grade. So that's the first thing to know. Okay. Second thing to know is that the first section, it's 2 sections. The first section is multiple choice. So you will have multiple choice questions ranging from everything in the course, starting at the very beginning, focused on leadership theory and timelines, going all the way back to the history of leadership, and then ending with ethics when we did in week 9. Okay, so make sure you've got great notes and go over your notes. Some of you are just taking notes and you're like, okay, I have notes, let me get to the exam. But then it takes you way too long on the exam. So make sure that you are actually learning the information. Give yourself some time. Again, get these notes done early, then take time, a few times a day to look them over, and you're going to be really well prepared. So the first section is those 50 multiple choice questions. That comes out to 2 points per question. That's 100 points for that section of the exam. The next section of the exam is 50 points total, and it is 1 essay, a summary response essay. That essay will be 2 very full college level paragraphs, and I give you a very long breakdown of what that is. So the first paragraph is your summary. That is going to be you reading an article, understanding the article, and giving us a very quick summary. So it might sound like this. According to Professor Krista Hellman in her article, blankety blank, published on blank date, she feels that blank, 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 blank. And then you're going to describe what's in the article. Okay. Now, because this is a place where you're objective, there's none of your opinions in a summary, right? Then you're going to make sure you're writing in third person, meaning there's no I, no me, right? And you're going to keep that paragraph nice and tight. It doesn't need to be long. And so you're going to put all the basics in there, summarize that article nice and tightly. And then you're going to move on to the second paragraph, which is going to be much longer and written from a different perspective, because this is your response. This is your personal reaction where you're going to make course connections. So in this paragraph, which will again be much longer, you do get to use first person. You can say I, right? At no point, though, should any of my leaders in college be using the words you or your in college writing. So just make sure that you don't shift away from first person. You want to stay in first person in this paragraph. So you're going to respond to the information by folding in the concepts from the course. So this is where you use your notes and you go, based on what I read in this article, what are some of the things that I see that can be connected, right, to the things that we have learned in this course? And that's what you're going to do, and that's what you're going to explain to us, and it's going to be nice and full. You're going to take time to revise it, to edit it, and there's lots of resources within the learning module this week to help you really be familiar with this type of writing. I tried to choose something simple, but it's something that if you allowed yourself throughout the week to really prepare, that you would do really well. And again, there's information on the summary response essay, how to do it, samples to do it, ways in which you can practice doing it. All of that is available for you. So I just want to remind you, as I send you this, one of my last and final messages, that make sure that you're using each day very carefully. I've talked to many students recently who are unhappy with where they are in the class and the grade that they've currently earned. And remember that I keep telling you, it is about choices, right? It's not about the choice to come to college. It's about the choice of what am I doing every day to stay in college, to not be a part of those statistics that are so sad about how many students begin higher education but don't finish. So how are you going to set yourself apart? Plan proactively. Pull out that calendar. Check on when these due dates are and make those due dates for you earlier than that so that you are using every minute. That way, if you encounter a problem, you can resolve it early and not be worried about the final exam, okay? Set alarms for yourselves, especially those of you who know you struggle with this. Even if you don't, it's the time of the semester where things can get overwhelming. Read all communications every single day and read them well. Like I said, I'm probably going to be sending out an extra credit opportunity. So make sure that you're doing these things just because you should be doing them anyway. I want to thank each and every one of you for the time we've spent this semester, and I want to encourage you to do everything you can to finish it with the best growth mindset you can and really trying to apply everything you should have learned in this class. Thanks.